All right, Dwayne, tell me when you're ready. Yeah, we can. Oh, I already did, but we gotta go. Ready? Folks, welcome in to the Crossing Swords post game show. I'm your host, Ty B, joined by Dwayne and Joe Conzi Jr. The Sabres, with their first win of the season, a 6-1 whomping, a stomping of Gritty and the Philadelphia Flyers. 2 goals by Curtis Lazar, 2 goals. Or no, we get another goal from Olofsson late to put the Sabres up, and we lose that shutout late for Carter Hutton, which absolutely sucks for him. But Dwayne, the Sabres get here, their first win. How you feeling after that one?
I mean, phenomenal, guys. I mean, you just really smacked. You bitch slapped one of the best teams in this division, if not the best team in this division.
Oh yeah.
You chased possibly the best goalie in this division out of the net. And you really you took that game, took the bull by the horns in that game and controlled it really from start to finish. I mean, you controlled it. You controlled the pace. You controlled the neutral zone. Defensively, that's one of the best efforts I've seen from this team in ages. Um, you're pressuring the points. You won special teams battles. Honest to God, I mean, there could be so many guys in that game that could be your first
Mm-hmm.
star. You gave a first star effort. I couldn't be more happier with that effort. And if you continuously put forth that effort throughout the season and play that well defensively, you're going to win a lot more games.
Oh yeah. Let's hopefully they can figure this out and string it together for long runs. Kanzi, for you, looking at this game here, what's the biggest takeaway from the Sabres 6-1 victory here on our Crossing Swords post game show?
Well, there's two things. In 182 all-time regular season matchups with the Flyers, the 6-1 win tonight ties the Sabres' second best goal differential. The last was the
Mm-hmm.
team's 9-1 win in October 17th of 2006. But the one other thing that stands out to me is the Sabres outshot the Flyers like 36-22. Like that's how you win hockey games. Is you outshoot the other team, puck possession, playing well in the neutral zone, cutting down on shots. I mean, just an incredible all-around effort by the Sabres. Definitely saw line mixtures, lines being sorry.
I think he's going to get a beer. I don't know what
He
he's
might
doing.
be. I don't know what that was, but just a good all-around effort, and I think that's good that we're seeing the mixing and matching of lines. We saw a couple players double shifting tonight. I don't know if that was a plan or not, but I'm looking forward to that moving down the road here to see, what they're going to do moving forward with their line.
Hansi, you're a little confused there for a second.
Yeah, honestly, you caught me. I actually, our viewership just went up, Dwayne. Not gonna lie, so you should start an OnlyFans. So
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what the people want to see. But giving the people what they want to see was Curtis Lazar, Sam Reinhart, both 2 goals apiece. Yoki Haru and Olafson get those 2 late goals as well to help the Sabres here on this one. Make sure you guys, everyone who's tuning in, get in some of your observations or any questions you have after this game here in the chat. Make sure you're interacting. Make sure you're following. But Dwayne, right now for the Sabres, you're going to have another game here with the Flyers tomorrow. What are you taking away? What are you telling your team, your Ralph Kruger, right now after getting over the hump, getting that first victory of the season?
You know, don't get too comfortable. You finally, you're not finally, you
Mm-hmm.
get that monkey off your back, you get that first victory. It's against a very good hockey team. So we want to try and carry that swagger over to this next game with you tomorrow night. And as I said before in the second intermission report, Carter Hutton did not have a ton of action. He played very well, very well. He didn't have a ton of action. So I would go right back to him tomorrow night. I think that's a given. Ride the hand that's hot. Um, and again, unless Olmark is ready to go, I don't know the rules of that. I think he can't play under these COVID rules when when you take a leave of absence and you have to, because I think he left Philadelphia. I think he left the team for whatever due to whatever happened. So he can't just come back and play tomorrow night. I'm pretty sure under like COVID rules, that's a thing.
Yeah. So, Kanzi, you've been talking about this. We want to free Jeff Skinner. We want to get him out there, get him some more minutes. A pretty good showing here. 16 minutes in 10 seconds. It looks like I was talking about this. If you split these lines up a little bit more, you give them a little bit more equal time all the way around. Maybe it still could make sense. Maybe if you have the right guys out there with Skinner, it could create something because of the offensive firepower Jeff Skinner can bring at any moment. You see the way he skates. What do you think Ralph Kruger is going to be doing here with Jeff Skinner after tonight, who had another good performance? No goals or assists to show for it, but was all over the ice.
I mean, do you want my like legit answer? Like, because I just feel like he's gonna.
I want your legit answer, not your Stan answer.
Okay, so I definitely I have no confidence right now that Ralph Kruger is going to do the right thing. There's so many times over the course of last season and this season where all he had to do at some point in the season was move a player or two around in the lineup, and he never did it. And he's done it with Brandon Montour and Rasmus Dahlin. Like, clearly Montour is not getting it done. Why do you keep pairing them together? And then this thing with Skinner, it's like we saw it again. I keep bringing it up. You got guys double shifting themselves to get up with Eichel and Hall or get up with Olofsson and these guys because they want to create chances. They want to score goals. They want to do this to teams because they know they have a good offense. So, I just don't see in the next few days, him going, okay, you're going right up to the first or second line. I mean, I have no confidence in Kruger's going to make the right decision. I hope he does, but yes, he proved me wrong, Ralph Kruger. I say that. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. Obviously tomorrow we'll be quick to see if he can make any moves, but going forward, I think we need to figure something out here. A little bit of something, especially with that second line not necessarily working the way that it was constructed today. Dwayne, let's flip this over a little bit. Look at this Flyers team because they're gonna have to come back here. It's supposed to be Brian Elliott going in the second game of this here, but after having to come in play almost 30 minutes of his own. Do you see any chance here Carter Hart goes again and gets a second chance? Like, do you try to get his confidence back against the Sabres, or do you just go with what your schedule was and you go to Brian Elliott?
I know teams like to stick to the schedule and go with Brian Elliott. I think I'll go with Brian Elliott. Do I think that's the right move? I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Brian Elliott's a very, very capable goaltender. Even though Carter Hart is your starter. Could they go right back to Carter Hart just to try and get his swagger back? Absolutely, they could. That seems to be my word. Like the see, I see swagger a lot, but it's such a true thing. Like you want to get that swagger early in the season.
Yeah, it's like how everyone was saying moxie with quarterbacks. It's gonna be swagger with goalies for you, Dwayne.
Yeah, exactly. You have to carry yourself with a type of confidence, a type of a swagger, to be successful as a goaltender. Same thing with as a pitcher in baseball. The two positions are very comparable in that the game can be won and lost by that one player. A pitcher can give up eight runs in an inning. A goalie can give up 5 goals in one period, and the game, it's so far out of reach at that one point just because of that one player. So yeah, I definitely could see them going back to Carter Hart to try and get that moxie back.
All right, one thing I want to talk about here, I'm bringing up the shot chart for everyone. You see the Sabres here all over the front of the net, absolutely doing what you want to do. You talk about, I think a lot of coaches and in the analytics world are sort of on the same high danger area is that house between the crease and the dots, if you will. And that's where the Sabres were. They got 3 goals there at 5v5 between the dots and the house. And that's exactly what you want. More spaced out, a lot more shots from the point to the outside and the outside of the dots too. Like you could see they go in, but the chances of them going in, and you saw how it had to happen for Jokiharju. It doesn't happen very often. So you'd love to see the Sabres doing that and getting in good positions to score goals, Dwayne.
I agree. Again, offensively, you couldn't have really mapped out a better game for Buffalo. You couldn't have. And defensively, you couldn't have mapped out a better game for Buffalo. There were a few hiccups there, a few plays some guys wish they could have back. I still think Montour needs to pick his game up. I still don't like what I see out of him. I think he's really bringing Dahlin down defensively for sure. You're asking a lot of a kid already who's just turned 20 years old, who's still trying to grow, who's still trying to learn how to use that new body of his, that 16 pounds additional muscle, and with no training camp, and you're throwing him out into the wolves with a guy like Montour who isn't playing very well. It's really dragging that pairing down. So I'd like to see some type of change.
They had a bounce back a little bit. Montour did end up playing better over the course of the game. Ended up with a 62.5 Corsi. Dahlin led the defenseman at a 65. So they did play better. There were those times, I think, early on where Montour was making those mistakes in the first period, but I think he corrected a lot of that as the game went on, and it seemed to be playing with more confidence. I think he actually had the highest expected goals for when he was on the ice, so that's good to see. You need to build off that performance now, and what can you do going into this second game after this team just saw you? They know some of your tendencies now, and you're going to have to play them 6 more times after that. How can you continue to impose your will on an opponent? That's why this year is going to be one of the most interesting years, I think, tactically for teams, Kanzi.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's the crazy thing that's been in my brain for most of the evening is one team showed up to win and one team showed up like expecting to win. And what I mean by that is like the Sabres knew they had to win.
Mm-hmm.
Philly, they were going to have to do much to get through Buffalo. And I think that what the Flyers realized tonight was this is going to be a bloodbath in this division. And, each game matters. And the Sabres realized that too as well. But the difference between Buffalo and Philly is, Philly has the ability to play with any team in the division. Buffalo, we're still figuring it out. To see Buffalo play tonight against Philly that way just goes to show that you better be looking over your freaking shoulder moving through this division, no matter if it's New York Islanders, you think about that. So
even the Devils, they played Boston very well.
Yeah.
They went to overtime, both those games, Mackenzie Blackwood. You saw what happens when you have a hot goalie.
Yep.
Anything can happen. So for the Sabres.
Also, too, sorry to interrupt you, Ty, but Eichel with 3 assists and Hall with 3 assists. Like, they didn't even score tonight, and they were effective. And that's the thing that's great about this team. You never make a difference, and those two guys continue to make a difference.
And Dwayne, a big point you had early on was you got to do something with that power play as well. Good to see them figuring that out.
That's how this team is going to win. It wasn't a secret. They had the worst penalty kill on the road in the entire league last season, and one of the worst power plays in the league.
Mm-hmm.
If you improve both on the road, you are going to put yourself in a really good position here going forward. That was a statement game for me. You go 0-2. This third game is make or break. You're in a shortened season. Starting 0-2 is almost like starting 0-3 in this
essentially,
division and this shortened season, this condensed schedule. You don't want to start 0-3 because you're just digging yourself that hole. That was a statement game, and now you're walking in tomorrow with a little bit of swagger and swagger.
It's like taking a shot every time you say that.
I honest to God, you might as well. You're going in there tomorrow night with hell of a lot more confidence. You're going to enforce your will on the Flyers, and no matter what goal is, if you come out and play like that tomorrow, and you come hot out of the gates, and you again get pucks on whoever it is early because they're rattled. They just got spanked 6-1.
Mm-hmm.
Keep pucks in on them early. Don't let the goalies get comfortable. Even if you a high percentage scoring chance, just throw it low into the net. Create you don't always have to shoot to score. Shoot for the rebounds. Drive to the net. Get in this goalie's face, whoever it is. Especially a young kid like Carter Hart, if he's already rattled and he's trying to bounce back and get that confidence back. Keep right in his grill. Stay in his face.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree with you on that. Especially when you look at this Philly team, that experience and that depth they have on it with Claude Giroux, Jacob Voracek, and others. I think they're going to come out with some extra fire tomorrow after getting punched in the face. Pretty much literally for Voracek, but more of Ristolainen's shoulder to the face. A few big checks from Ristolainen tonight. That's what I said. I think that really helps him play a little bit better. I think he gets more into the game. The checks aren't necessarily at the best time all the time. Some of his numbers get inflated because he goes out of his way to do it sometimes. You kind of have to live with it. That's why you need him with a D partner who gets used to it, get a center who tracks back and knows when it's coming. But these are all things where little chemistry things that you're gonna have to pick up throughout a season. We've talked about this a bit, Dwayne, that the shortened period where you didn't have much of a training camp, and then you're right into the games, no preseason. It almost felt like those first two games against Washington were like preseason games for the Sabres, trying to figure things out, trying to feel things out with these new teammates. And I think tonight they really broke through, and it seemed like they're getting onto the same page. You saw a couple lapses, but they're getting on the same page, Dwayne.
Yeah, and again, it's tough to do with essentially 12 to 14 days of an actual training camp. And there's a lot to do in those 12 to 14 days. You're bringing in an entire training camp roster. You have to make cuts a lot earlier than you normally would, assign people to Rochester, assign people to junior, assign people to Europe. There's a lot to be done in that short amount of time. So there isn't a ton of time to really, find chemistry with lines, especially when you're playing a lot of those times with guys that aren't going to be on your roster or even come close to sniffing your roster. So I know it was going to take a few games to really gain this chemistry, especially with that top line. Yeah, I did. But me being the frustrated Sabres fan who's just so sick of losing, yeah, I blew a gasket, especially after that second game where we couldn't get that one home. That 2-1 loss against those two losses because those were points off from the board. I really thought that if you would have made the right position, and this again, Carter Hutton played great tonight. I think you win that first game with Ullmark in that. I really do. You could be looking at 2-1 instead of 1-2 right now. But that's in the past. Like Jack Eichel said, we don't want to talk about the past. We want to think about the past. We want to think about the future. So we got another big game tomorrow against Philly. And then I believe the next series is against, is it the Rangers or the Devils? Both.
Oh, I don't have it in front of me.
Oh,
We're
gotcha.
pretty organized here, people. Those watching, we're pretty in touch with everything.
Yeah,
we
well,
know
of course,
the schedule.
Yeah, we are who we are, as Kesha says. Let's see here.
So just
we go to Washington.
oh, yep, Washington
We
again.
go right back to Washington. All right, wrong on all accounts.
Yeah, so looking at one of these guys who struggled a bit tonight, Colin Miller, he was mostly deployed against that Giroux line. Saw a lot of time against him, Kevin Hayes, Joel Farabee, Travis Konechny as well, and just like for him in terms of getting the pucks to the net, getting some Corsi numbers, that type of thing. Just absolutely dominated. A 20. Was it in the 20s? Yeah, just not very good of a night. So hopefully he'll do better in the next few games here. I think we need to figure out these D pairs a little bit. It seems like every night one of these pairs is struggling, Kanzi.
Yeah, the defensive pairing starts from the top down. I mean, you can see it, from Montour, Dahlin all the way down. They have to, I think it was good to see the offense kind of change things up. They're going to have to switch it up moving forward because it's just not working. And it's almost, and Dahlin had a great game tonight, a much better game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
He looks at times a little timid. He's young. We got to remember he's young, but
20.
yeah,
Can't even go to the bars here.
Can't even go to the bars here. But I think if you pair him up with a little bit more experienced veteran, you're going to see him play a little less timid. So I'd even like to see Dahlin play with McCabe, honestly. I mean, why not? Let's see what we have. But you can't sit back here and look at these defensive pairings and feel confident about it. Mm-hmm. They need to do something moving forward. And if Steve Smith's listening, which he's not, but do something. Shake it up, man. Come on. Let's get something going here.
Calling out Steve Smith.
Yeah, I don't I don't hate that, Kanzi. But that's gonna wrap it up here for us. Dwayne, you got anything here before we sign off?
Nothing, guys. Just a great 60-minute effort there. The best 60-minute effort this team has had in a long time, top to bottom defensively. I know if I were to name 3 stars, I'm going to give Curtis Lazar my first star. I mean, I know I'm going reverse
Got to.
order here, but it's nice to see that that fourth line really come through and bury their opportunities.
Hmm.
I'll give Jack Eichel. I'll give Carter Hutton my second star. Guy had a great performance. Didn't have to stand on top of his head, but he played more than good enough to win. And then I'll give Jack Eichel our third star because he's your captain. He played unbelievable. Three-point
Yep, 2
effort.
assists.
Yep.
Guy, he's a playmaker. I can't wait to see him score his first goal. Hopefully Rick is calling it when he does. But the guy is gonna, if this line continues to click the way it did tonight, we're gonna be looking at an MVP caliber season from Jack Eichel.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what everyone in Buffalo is hoping for and rooting for. Let's hope the Sabres can figure everything out. Dwayne, I see you got that liquid lollipop there from Froth to enjoy after a big Sabres
Yeah,
6-1 win. There's not much better after a Sabres win than a great beer. And I would say dollar for dollar.
yeah.
Dollar for dollar, those liquid lollipops are the best beers in the country. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about what you just did and what I saw earlier, but I don't want to see that again or hear that.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Jeez. Yeah, Dwayne Mania. We need to cut Dwayne Mania off.
Talking over Tybee. He's trying to talk over Dwayne Mania. It's not gonna work. I'm drinking the liquid lollipop from Frog Brewery, baby. Oh yeah, let's go Sabres.
Yeah, let's go Sabres. You heard it here from Dwayne. The Sabres will be back in action tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Philadelphia. Once again, make sure you stay tuned to Trainwreck Spurts and at Cross Swords Pod, at 2goalies1mike on Twitter for all Sabres information and tons of other content. That'll wrap it up for Dwayne